Where do timeshare board members, resort managers, and industry pros connect? On resortsources.com. Get instant access to the timeshare experts and meet your toughest resort challenges head on. Get connected on resortsources.com.
Welcome to Resort Sources. This is Shep Altschuler, President of TimeSharing Today and the Timeshare Board Members Association. Resort refurbishment and upgrades are of growing importance to legacy timeshare resorts, and today we are being joined by Mary Daust, Vice President with Orlando-based Hospitality Resources and Design, and Mary will explain their approach to keeping resorts looking and functioning at their best. Hi Mary, welcome to the broadcast.
Hi Shep, thank you.
Tell our listeners about your background and your position at Hospitality Resources and Design.
My background started in residential design. I have an interior design degree, and I did residential design for 9 years. And with that, I did high-end kitchen and bath and new construction. So I have a background in project management and construction and residential interior design. And about 9 years ago, I switched over to HRD and now I do commercial design. So I'm the director of design at HRD.
And how long has HRD been in business? And tell us pretty much about the scope of services that you provide.
HRD has been in business about 10 and a half, 11 years. It was formed by Rich Budnick, who's my business partner. And the services we provide is only hospitality design. So we do timeshares, hotels, and resorts. We do public spaces and guest rooms. We do new construction and renovation. And we specialize, like I said, only in hospitality. We don't get into any other market.
And what geographical areas does HRD serve?
We're all over the United States, so we don't specialize in one certain area. We have projects in Vegas, Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina. We're pretty much all over. We don't like to go all the way over to California, get that far, just because it involves so much travel and so much time, but we're as far over as Vegas currently.
Tell us about your organization, your support team, how it's structured, the qualification of the people that work for you, and what are the qualifications that are needed for people who work in this segment of the industry?
We're a firm currently of 16, and we have myself, who's the director of design, and I'm the license holder. And then we have Rich Budnick, whose background is in marketing, so he's more of the sales. He and I both are at the sales force. And we have Sarah Crawford, who's our CFO, CPA. Then from there, we have 3 senior designers. All of those designers have interior design degrees and backgrounds. 2 of them are licensed interior designers. To be a licensed interior designer, you get a design degree and then you sit for a large exam. We also have a general contractor on staff who's a designer and a general contractor. Then from there, they each have their own assistants. Those assistants, once again, have interior design degrees and backgrounds. And then from there, we have a purchasing team and a project management team and warehouse personnel. We have our own warehouse. We bring a lot of furniture into our warehouse and truck it to the project. That's kind of how we're set up. We have a lot of purchasing and project management strengths and interior design strengths.
Now, when we're looking at the legacy resorts, which I'm pretty well focused on through TimeSharing Today and the Timeshare Board Members Association, there are resorts at all different levels in terms of their current status relative to refurbishment and condition of the resorts. How does your company go about establishing client relationships?
Multiple different ways. A lot of our clients we've had for years. We do a lot with Blue Green, BRI, SCM, and a lot of small self-managed companies. So we establish those relationships partially from word of mouth, partially from the history we have with the management company, and attending TBMA, ARDA, and those type of things. That's where we get most of our clients. But a lot of them are just clients we've worked with for years. I mean, some of them are legacy, some of them are new, most of our projects do them in phases. So 1 year they'll do bedrooms, 1 year they'll do kitchens, 1 year they'll do bathrooms. So mostly it's just clients we've had, and then we pick up other clients with those specific management companies.
Right. So do you go through a needs analysis, to get an understanding of the needs of the specific resort?
What we normally do is myself or one of our senior designers, we go to the site and we sit and we spend as much time as we can with the regional director or the on-site manager, and we evaluate what are they looking for, what are their timelines, what is their budget, what are their needs, what is the scope, and then we come back to our design studio and develop a strategic plan with them. That generally includes like a digital design presentation where we make our selections, and then a proposal, and then floor plans. Most often, it's a lengthy process. It generally takes someone 6 months to a year to really figure out what all they need, what all they can afford, and then they go back to their board and say it's going to cost X, Y, and Z, and this is how we're going to, this is how we're going to roll out the project. So it's kind of a lengthy process to get them everything they need, so they can then get back to their board members to establish basically how much money do they have and how much time do they have.
What kind of technology does HRD utilize in evaluating and implementing projects?
We use a lot of technology. We can do a lot of what we do remote. What we do, we have multiple different computer programs. One is AutoCAD, and you do your floor plans in AutoCAD. Then we have different software you can do digital perspectives, where you can almost like walk through the unit, give them a virtual model with them not having the expense of a model. Then we have this really great tracking where we order. It's a different software different software called Designer Logic. Designer Logic is we order everything from it, and then it tracks it when it's going to arrive on site. So with that, we can generate production schedules for the on-site manager and maintenance and housekeeping or whomever is running their project on their end, so they can know almost to the hour of like when the sofas are going to arrive or when the artwork's going to arrive. So we use a lot of technology and software to make things run smooth.
Are there specific elements that go into a design project? Stuff that's on one side of the wall and issues that are behind the wall, so to speak. So are you focused on any specific elements of the design project?
Depending on the scope, yes. If it's a project that involves kitchens and baths, then we have a GC on staff, but we generally partner with another GC who's going to facilitate all the construction. With that, we start focusing on, do we need to pull permits? What are the codes? How old is the building? Is the electricity up to date? Is the plumbing up to date? Then if it's something simple, like you're just doing new FF&E, we focus on what elements are staying in the room versus what are they replacing? What do we need to coordinate with? We focus on the logistics of the site. Is there enough storage to put containers there? A lot of logistics go into it. So it depends on the project, what we're focusing on. But yeah, there's a lot of intricate details that we really have to hone in to make sure the project runs smooth.
And who actually handles the installations? Let's say you come across a situation that requires some major reconstruction or some complicated installation process that might be required. So how is that normally handled?
It's generally with the general contractor that we partner with. I'll give an example. Right now we're doing a project here in Central Florida, and then we partner with a general contractor that facilitates all the kitchen and bath renovation, installing the FF&E, all those things, and we just work strategically so they know when the product's going to arrive and that they do the install. If it's something simple, just like a new carpet and new window treatments and new sofas, then we just contract a moving company.
We know that there's a major effort on the part of hotels and some resorts to upgrade their properties. Many hotels are moving into the suite concepts, and they're expanding those suite concepts kind of in competition with the timeshare resorts. And everybody is interested in, of course, attracting the millennials, the younger audience, the younger traveler. So what are you seeing in terms of current design trends that legacy resorts, have to take into consideration when they start doing their planning?
Probably the most important thing is your technology and your Wi-Fi and your bandwidth. I mean, everybody now needs to charge their laptop, their iPhone, their iPad. So we see a lot of lamps that have power outlets in them, things like that. You can have your end tables have power outlets in it. So that's a big trend. Another trend is simplicity. So we're toning a lot of things down. You'll see white bedding, everything really simple, and that speaks to your future clientele in multiple ways. One, it's simple, but it also means clean. So things are simplified now. There's not a lot of ornate things. Those are the trends I'm seeing the most. Another thing I'm seeing a lot of that we're using on the floor, they have this new great product. They use them at Marriott's and Hilton's. It's called luxury vinyl tile, and it really is a vinyl, but it can look like wood. It can look like tile, and it's much easier on your feet. It's easier to install. It's a sound absorber. I'm seeing a lot of that currently. Something else I'm seeing a lot of is on your seating. A lot of people are using vinyl because it's easier to clean and it doesn't get damaged as easy. Upgraded sleeper sofa mattresses are always a popular item. It's money well spent because that's where people get a lot of their complaints. That's really it. Anything energy saving, so your appliances, make sure those are energy saving. Anything that's easy to clean, those are the trends I'm seeing.
Before we continue our interview with Mary Daust, we'd like to introduce two of HRD's clients who agreed to spend a few minutes talking to us about refurbishment projects. We'll first hear from Trish Doherty, Regional Vice President of Operations at SPM Resorts, and then from Michael Edwards, General Manager of the Cove at Yarmouth, located on Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Hi, Trish. Welcome to the broadcast.
Hi, Chef. Glad to be here.
How long has SPM been dealing with hospitality resources and design?
We've been using their company for probably 10 years now.
What kind of projects have they been involved in?
Mainly interior renovation projects with regards to the FF&E for rooms, design of some common areas, things like that. They provide us with names of contractors that we can utilize as well, and they work alongside with them with hospitality resources.
So you found that they have been able to provide a complete solution working with you and your resorts?
Yeah, they're very flexible. They'll do as much as you want them, as far as being involved, as much as you want them to minimal involvement and just ordering furniture. So they're very, very flexible when it comes to that, and they have all the resources that are necessary.
Now, does SPM get directly involved in the projects, or is that normally left at the resort level? What is that relationship in terms of, planning and implementing various projects?
SPM is very involved with the projects from the start of the design process to the choosing the furniture, choosing the layouts for common areas, different things like that. We're completely 100% involved from day one. And then once the project starts, then the general managers mainly manage the project from there along with our oversight. That they handle it once the project starts. They make sure that the day-to-day functions flow smoothly and that we get the projects accomplished.
So I guess this has been a very positive 10-year relationship, is that correct?
Yes, it has.
Is there any other comments you want to make?
I want to say that, I've been in this business for well over 20 years now, and I find that, and I've used many companies over the years, but I find that hospitality, like I said, are willing to do, anything that the resorts need. And the number one, well, there's two things. One, their product lasts as long as we need it to last, and we basically will put soft goods on a 5-year schedule and 10 years for hard goods, and we've never had a problem with their product lasting the length of time that we need it to. And then the second thing is that if anything, after the project is completed, if there's anything that might fail or there might be a flaw in something that we've received from them, they immediately take care of the situation.
Well, thanks again. I appreciate your taking the time to talk to us. And now let's turn to Michael Edwards, General Manager at the Cove of Yarmouth. Hi, Michael.
Thank you, Chef.
Tell us about your resort and how long you've worked there.
Yeah, the Cove at Yarmouth Resort was built in 1986. I've had the pleasure of working here for 25 years now. It's a purpose-built resort by a developer. It has, like I said, 229 units, two types of units, a suite, which is on the first level, comprises of about 560 square feet, and then 152 townhomes that are on the second story, which are townhome style with a lofted bedroom. They both have 2 bathrooms, a queen-size bed, a queen-size pull-out sofa, and small kitchen amenities, TVs, and the like.
Now, how long have you had a working relationship with Hospitality Resources and Design?
We got involved with HRD and back in 2013 with an RFP for our third major refurbishment. They were selected to do a model which was produced in 2014 and then ultimately hired to do the three-phase project.
Now, what kinds of projects do they assist you with as part of the refurbishment?
It was procurement and installation as well as design. So they put together, it was a soft refurbishment, so it was all the draperies, carpeting, paint, and upholstery goods as well as bedding.
What was your experience in working with them over the past several years?
For that whole duration, it was really a pleasure. From the design, the construction of the models, the tweaking of it based on board and staff recommendations, and then through the implementation. After been through this process 2 other times with 2 other design firms, I have to say that HRD performed very well from a perspective of timeliness, scheduling, procurement, and standing behind their design and products. I just have to say that I think the team of Mary, Rich, and Sarah and all their designers really deliver a full encompassing package on any type of refurbishment project, from a small resort to a large. And the communication that they exhibit through the whole process, I think, is probably what is the key and makes any refurbishment go smoothly.
Well, thanks so much. We appreciate you sharing your insights. And now let's return to Mary Daust with HRD. We know that legacy resorts are sometimes restricted because of budget issues, and they may cherry pick items and replace sofas and then cabinets, and sometimes they might make some costly mistakes that should have been avoided prior to making these changes. So could you speak a little bit about the pitfalls that resorts might run into, and how can they be avoided?
When someone's thinking of renovating their resort, whether it's the whole unit or just the sofas or parts and pieces, the best way to approach it is approach it with thinking of that whole item. Like, don't do 5 sofas and 4 end tables and 6 dining room tables. If you're doing dining room tables, do all your dining room tables, all your dining room chairs, because the cost savings are in the volume. So it doesn't make sense to just pick and choose few items within the room. Let's approach your whole project with, we're doing all kitchens or all bathrooms or all living room furniture. Don't piecemeal it and say, this year we're only going to do 3 full units, but you have 60 units, because that is not a cost savings. Another thing, if you're doing anything construction related, kind of going back to what I was just saying, do it all at once, because your money is then mobilizing. And so the money is there when you have to bring the project manager, bring the electricians, bring the plumbers, bring all those. You want to get it all done at once. That's where you save money. That's where you waste a lot of money if you just kind of do onesie twosies here and there. You're going to waste money if you use residential products, because it's not going to withstand the hard use of timeshare. I think people waste money when they don't properly plan. Any renovation takes a considerable amount of time. If you think you're going to get new sofas in 8 weeks, you certainly can, but you're going to pay a premium for that. If you give yourself 4 to 5 months, then you have way more time to plan, and then you can create cost savings. So I would say the money is wasted and when you just do small amounts of stuff, or you don't properly plan and give yourself enough time.
Just give a quick distinction between residential products and commercial products that might look the same but really aren't the same. Could you?
I'll use a couple just basic examples. One, think of your window treatments in your bedding. In commercial applications, all your vertical fabrics have to be fire rated, just in case there's a fire in your unit. Commercial fabric, it won't burn as quickly. Residential fabrics, they don't have those requirements. So by law, anything that you put vertically, fabric-wise, in your resort, your fire marshals, you're going to get in trouble if you don't use the appropriate fabric. And like I said, residential, it doesn't have those requirements. It doesn't have those topical treatments. Another thing is when you think of your sleeper sofas or your seating, that the foam is fire rated. In addition, all the parts and pieces in there have a commercial grade warranty. None of that is the case in residential. If you go buy a sleeper sofa at your local furniture store, that is not commercially rated. It has no warranties. It has no fire ratings. It's not going to withstand the use. Another thing, when you think of your case goods, your coffee tables, your end tables, your dressers, commercial product has a catalyzed lacquer finish on the top, or a laminate on the top, so it won't scratch as easily, it won't burn, it won't nick. But that's not the case in residential. They don't have those hard surfaces on the top or the hard finishes. So residential is just not made to withstand commercial, and it won't. And they're built completely different, whether it's a sofa or a case good. The fabrics are manufactured completely different. So they're very separate things.
Some of the projects might be implemented over a period of time if they're going to be doing, individual items. And then what happens through the process if some new technology comes out? Do you need flexibility to adapt the plan, the implementation plan, according to some new trend that might come up? Because maybe the resort is planning their refurbishment over a longer period of time than just doing entire units. Do the plans have to have flexibility built into it?
It's depending on what item it is. If it's already been ordered, yes, there's no flexibility. So if there's a new sleeper sofa mattress that they wanted after the product's been ordered, no, you can't change it. But if it's something that we evaluate and all of a sudden we've found this new refrigerator, we have an ordered refrigerator, well then yeah, you can switch it. It's all dependent on what's been ordered and what's not been ordered.
Just to recap a little bit, when you are, let's say, working with a self-managed resort, who would be your key contacts at the resort that you'll coordinate the project with?
That depends on the actual project, the actual management company, and how they want to do it. I know I met a client at TBMA. His name's Rick Boland, and that's Casa del Sol. So initially I was working directly with him, and then now they've kind of created a design committee. I think it's 2 people on their board members kind of wanted to take a leadership role. But then I also work with their on-site manager and their on-site maintenance person. So it really depends on how they want to form it. Some people don't want their on-site managers or their on-site maintenance personnel involved. They want them to be the managers and the maintenance. They don't want them to have anything to do with the renovation. So it really, we do it so many different ways, really, however the client needs it.
And is it necessary for that key contact at the resort to have some kind of project management background to work as a project manager in a situation like this?
Once again, it kind of depends on the role. If there's a general contractor involved, then the general contractor's on-site project manager is running the whole thing. And often it's easier if the resort personnel really aren't overly involved, if they just give us the rooms and let us renovate. It really depends. It's best if they have some project management knowledge, but it's often best if they just kind of step back and let us do our job. It gets a little hairy when a bunch of people want to get involved and kind of overshadow the project. But once again, it really depends on the scope of the project, how many people are involved, is there a general contractor involved, is their on-site maintenance guy really strong, is their on-site maintenance guy have 9 other projects he needs to be working on. So it's case by case. We've done it multiple different ways.
Now, I know it's maybe a little bit of a self-serving question, but we know that there are resorts that want to keep their maintenance fees at the bare minimum. They're trying to avoid maintenance fee increases, and they want to avoid any special assessments that might have to come along. Are you seeing still a lot of antiquated resorts on the legacy resort side that are just not moving forward with the times? And if there are, what do you think the implications are of that situation?
I think there's a lot of those resorts still out there, and I think it's a disservice to their owners. And I would think as a board member, your fiduciary duty is to keep that property up to date. I understand and very familiar with the resistance of the fact that they don't want to raise their fees, but times move on. You have to update your kitchens. You have to update your furniture. You can't have sofas in there for 20, 15 years, or you're not going to get future owners, and you're certainly not going to have a strong rental market. So it's a conversation we have over and over. There's multiple finance options. There's special assessment options. You can lease furniture. There's multiple ways to be able to afford it. The hurdle is people just not wanting to spend the money. But that's just, to me, that just seems like an extreme disservice to the property.
Before we close, is there any one key suggestion or bit of advice that you might want to lend to those listening to this broadcast?
Yeah, my bit of advice would be, don't be scared to retain a designer because you think it's going to be more costly, because ultimately a hospitality designer probably has a wealth of knowledge how they can help you save money or save time understand it is a lengthy process. It's not something that's quick. Like I said, I think most of them take 6 months to a year to even get the full plan rolling. So just give yourself time, get guidance, whether it's from a general contractor or a designer or whatever your project is. Go to the right people and get professional advice for the actual, for your complete project.
Now, if any of our listeners would like to get in touch with you in hospitality resources and design, how can they go about doing that?
There's multiple ways that people can get a hold of us. Our office phone is 407-855-0350. Our website is www.hrdorlando.com. And my personal email is mary@hrdorlando.com.
And this concludes this Resort Sources broadcast. If you are a provider of services to timeshare resorts and would like to learn more about Resort Sources, or if you are a board member or resort manager and would like to recommend an industry provider or professional, please email staff@tstoday.com. Until next time, have a great day.
Where do timeshare board members, resort managers, and industry pros connect? On resortsources.com. Get instant access to the timeshare experts and meet your toughest resort challenges head on. Get connected on resortsources.com.